Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Ronn Easton's Tell It Like It Is. This is where you will get nothing but 100% truth out of me and veterans like myself. Today I am honored, I am absolutely honored to have a fellow warrior come into this meeting with me. And I saw this gentleman on Facebook and the things that he had to say and the passion with which he said them just stirred me to contact him. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Mr. Steve Benny Gonzo. My brother, if you would unmute yourself and come on in. How you doing, Steve?
Good, Ron. How are you? Thanks for having me. I wanted to come on your show and tell people a little bit about myself. To me, I look at myself as just a veteran doing what I believe other veterans should be doing, is fulfilling our oath, continuing to do what we're supposed to be doing, to protecting our country, to constantly keeping observing what's going on, to paying attention to detail, to recognizing what's right and wrong. I don't think that a lot of people are paying attention. I don't think that I think everybody thinks that since you're in the military, you need to be a Republican. I don't know where that ever came into being. I have a lot of friends that are Republican, that were in the military, but I also have a lot of friends that aren't, and they don't understand why some of our friends are Republican, and we're trying to change that. So that's my goal.
If you would give people a little background, because just like myself, there are a lot of people who have no idea who the hell I am. And so if you would just give them a little background as far as how much time you spent in the military, where you did your basic things like that.
I was a Marine Corps enlisted grunt. I spent just under 10 years in the infantry. I am a disabled vet. I was in control of a lot of men during my time. I was an 0331, which was a machine gunner. I was an 0351, which was an anti-tank assaultman. I was a bunker buster. We took out, buildings, vehicles. It was our job to go in first. We did a lot of crazy stuff that other people wouldn't do. We saw a lot of stuff that you just can't get out of your head anymore. And it's not something I tend to talk about anymore. I don't talk about it with the VA. I don't talk about it with my wife. Whether it's right or wrong, I buried it. And for me, I'm 51 years old. I spent, after I got out of the service, I joined the state law enforcement, and I since retired from that. And whatever I did to make it through my severe post-traumatic stress disorders, my TBI, my all my other list of injuries, I have a list of them. It's worked for me. I'm not saying what I've done is going to work for everybody else, but I know that in the state of Pennsylvania, I was the only one with a prosthetic leg for a long time. I believe there's one now, and I commend him because it's not easy. And God, I think it was 12 or 13 years ago, 14 years ago, Harrisburg told me, I don't think you're going to be able to do this job. And sure enough, I did it. So
that's what Marines do. The one thing I wanted to ask you, and I guess that drew my attention to you, is when the current person infecting our White House right now spoke about veterans' choice and how he had signed that in. And you and I both know that President Obama signed in veterans' choice. Would you speak on that?
Right. A lot of things that 45 tries to take credit for. He's someone that likes to take credit for things, but doesn't like to take a lot of responsibility for things. It's not hard to fact check this guy. All you have to do is just seriously look things up. If he says something, don't just automatically believe him. You just like anybody. You don't just want to believe what anybody says. You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to even believe me. Go into something, try to fact check it yourself. You know, everyone's like, "Oh, that's just fake news." No, it's really not. You know, there's the whole world is not out to get Donald Trump. Okay, they're not out to make him look bad. When he claims, even on his website, that he created VA Choice, it was created in 2014. Totally easy to figure that out. It was a Republican bill. It was brought up by a Republican from Kentucky, I believe. But it came up in 2014, and President Obama signed it. For whatever reason, Donald Trump thinks that it makes him look good by taking credit for this, and Republicans think that he did VA Choice. It's not true. Just like he claims that he gave all these big pay raises to the military, when in fact he hasn't even outdone George W. Bush's pay raises for the military. Excuse me. He hasn't outdone President Obama's pay raises to the military. And if you look at the pattern, of pay raises, and all you have to do is look at the pattern of pay raises under each presidency for the last, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's not hard to look it up. But you'll notice whenever the Democrats are in control of the House, and that's who controls the money spent in Washington. If you understand the Constitution, you'll understand who controls the House of Representatives, controls the power of the purse, not the president. So when he tries to claim he's doing all this and he's great, he's all that, but if you look, the first 2 years under Obama were the highest 2 years of military pay raises. The next 6 years after that, the military got 1%, maybe under 2% for 6 straight years. So you have to ask yourself, why did they get such low pay raises under Obama? Well, those last 6 years, the Republicans were in charge of the House. But those first 2 years under Obama, the Democrats were in charge of the spending. So the first 2 years, the House gave military a 3.9 and a 3.4% pay raise. Trump hasn't matched that. Trump hasn't even come close to that. But now since Democrats have taken over the House, last year the pay raise now is going to be in the 3s, and next year is supposed to be in the 3s. It's a pattern.
I'm sorry. I guess the one thing that triggered me back in October of 2016, as 45 was standing in front of a group of soldiers, he was talking about PTSD. And he mentioned the fact that the strong soldiers did not or were not affected by PTSD. And then there was another statement where he made where TBIs were nothing more than a headache. I'm not asking you to get into personal symptoms, but would you please speak to that and give some assurance that TBIs are much more than a headache?
Yeah, TBIs are definitely more than a headache. But for him not serving in the military, or not wanting to serve, or letting anybody in his family serve, for him to downplay anything that military suffer from, it's just basically an insult as far as I'm concerned. I don't care who you are. You know, until you walk in another person's shoes, don't judge them. I do get the headaches, and they're worse than a headache. Like it feels like sometimes my head is cracking in half, and I take medicine every day just so that it never happens, because I could feel them coming on, and just the feeling of them coming on is worse than any headache that most people get. Because once, if I'm not near any of the medication that I'm on, if that migraine kicks in, it's hell. It's bad. So, and it's and a TBI and a migraine, it's
They're worlds apart.
bad.
They're absolutely worlds apart. Just out of curiosity, though, because as we were getting things set up here, you had mentioned to me that in previous years you were a Republican, although you weren't an active Republican. And I guess I'm just curious as to what motivated you to finally kind of take a stand and say something, because for me, it was the fact that I see 45 as a clear and present danger to this country. And I'm just wondering what motivated you, my brother?
My wife. My wife, and opened my eyes. Um, she she's a smart cookie, for one. She I lived in Chicago at the time, and she's from Chicago. And after I got out of the service, I moved around. I lived everywhere. I moved every couple months. I would leave my job every couple months. When I finally settled down to get a real career, which is after I got married, I had to fill out this application for the state of Pennsylvania, and I literally had to get an entire second sheet to list all the places I lived in the past 20 years. And like they gave me a list that I could choose from, or to list all the places, all the jobs I've had, and all the places I've lived. And I said, I need to, and I had even typed it out. I used an entire sheet, and they were like, are you like, and then I didn't pass the psych evaluation 3 times.
You're not.
Yeah. I did not pass the psych evaluation 3 times. So they made me talk to the main person in charge, and he said, either you're very, very honest on this psych test, or you're just crazy. And I was like, because some of the questions were just crazy questions. Like, do you want to be a florist? And I was like, no, I don't want to be a florist. Do you like your parents? And I don't like my parents. I'm not one of these people that's gonna lie on a psych test just to pass it. I don't. I'm not going to answer questions just to make somebody think I'm a nice person. When
And just out of curiosity, though, and you can address this issue if you want or not, because in our prep when we spoke yesterday, I will touch on no subjects that are sensitive to you out of respect, and you got to know that as a fellow warrior, man, I got nothing but love for you. But when you hear the commander in chief basically disparage a person who has dedicated their life to the military, and whether he said losers or suckers or not, what does that do for you as a veteran?
Like, I've talked to some people about it. Some people have said, you should wear it as a badge of honor, and some people have said, well, the only suckers are the people that actually still support him, and the losers are going to be the people that actually are the ones that vote for him and realize they voted for him after he loses in November. And that's all well and good, but it's very disrespectful for him to say this, and it's not out of character for him. So if anybody believes that he didn't say it, they don't know Donald Trump. He's a constant name caller. He's childish. He belittles people. That's what he does. So, like, for all the generals that have spoken out about him, you know, like McMaster and you know, Kelly and Mattis and McCraven and
Clapper,
Keene and Dempsey and Vogel and Petraeus and Hayden, and like you can keep listing all these generals, and these people know Trump. They know him. They've dealt with him. They've worked with him, and they know he's not a good person. And when the whole suckers and losers came out, Kelly could have spoken up. General Kelly could have spoken up and said, no, he didn't say it. But his silence means to me, he said it. Because he could have defended Trump. He was right there. He's the one who was standing there when supposedly standing next to his own son's grave that Trump asked this question. Well, what did they have? And Kelly could have stood up and defended Trump, and he chose not to. So right there, if you still defend this man when Kelly won't even defend him, then you should realize that Trump said what he said, and there's just no defense for this guy. It's a shame, you know.
Just curiosity. After you having done tours in the Middle East and with what went on yesterday with the agreement signed by Israel, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates, for me, I see a major player that was missing, and that was the Palestinians. So, you know, how can you have peace when one of the sides that is truly being screwed over was not at the table? Would you address that, please?
The whole idea of nobody wanting to deal with Israel was because Israel wasn't making any headway with the Palestinians, and now there still isn't any headway with the Palestinians. So all Trump did was, I'll throw in some F-35s and throw in some U.S. military technology for you, and give you all some of our stuff. And honestly, United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, like these are the countries that we're worried about in the Middle East. Not that I've heard of. You know, these are people that are basically united with Saudi Arabia attacking Yemen. That's basically, that's all I know of. You know, as they're not the people we're even worried about. I don't know that they're even really worried about with Israel. This is like a joke as far as I'm concerned, as far as a Middle East peace talk with Israel. And Israel's not even really coming to the table at all. Like what is Israel giving up? Israel's not giving up anything. They're like, this is supposed to be some sort of major breakthrough with some sort of peace talk in the Middle East. What, are you kidding me? In what way? Like, United Arab Emirates, we could go there now and be safe as you can be, just like going to Connecticut right now, because they're more worried about tourism and everything else, because the oil is basically drying up, and they're happy that Westerners are coming there. United Arab Emirates is probably one of the nicest countries you could visit over there. It's not like going to Syria or you know, Jordan or something like that right now. You know, you fear for your life in some of those countries, but you go to United Arab Emirates and you know, it's like going to Disneyland basically. It's like I would not fear for my life in United Arab Emirates. Like, for him to claim that this is some sort of major breakthrough and that he needs the Nobel Peace Prize is kind of ridiculous. It's an insult. You know, it's an insult.
You more the Nobel Peace Prize. The only reason why that is tweaking at his side is because President Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize, and in his mind, he sees himself as not only the equal but superior to President Obama. And for me, that's a long stretch. But I guess one final subject here I'd like to touch on with you. You have seen that he has taken control over the FBI, over the Justice Department. He's now put that little watchdog Michael Caputo in charge of the MMWR, which is the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report put out by CDC. And everything has been conformed to fit with the message of 45, which is we are rounding the corner and the virus is just going to magically go away. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a move that dictators do. They shut down all news sources. Anybody that is credible, they try to ruin their reputation. And I'm wondering what are your feelings as far as the blackout on information and people not getting the true information?
Trump has a tendency to put people that have no idea what they're doing in charge of things. Caputo's just another example of that. He has no idea what he's doing with the CDC. He's a self-proclaimed mentally insane person. He talks about the shadows on the ceiling coming to get him. He talks about having to take up arms. He's talking about taking up arms to fight if Biden wins the election. And this is the guy that's going to tell us that the CDC is supposed to give us certain information. The guy's not qualified. The guy, supposedly the FBI came to Congress and told Congress to beware of this guy. So Trump puts him in charge, of course, and because this guy spent so many years over in Russia, supposedly helping Boris Yeltsin win a presidency over there. He's basically like his campaign manager, and now he's in charge of the CDC. Like, what was his qualifications? Where did he get his qualifications to be in charge of disease and control? He doesn't have the qualifications that I would look for, but yet here he is trying to say nothing gets released until he has seen it and approves it. And he should not have any authority because he's no judge of character, for one. He's no judge of information, and he's just another idiot. And another example of idiots is the guy that he put in the NOAA, which well, change shirt. The flat earther guy that's going to be in charge of creating the new official globes.
Yeah.
How are those globes going to look? Really? You're going to be able to file them in a filing cabinet instead of putting them on top of your filing cabinet this year. You know, people aren't going to have a globe. They're going to have a sheet of paper, and that's going to be your globe. It's ridiculous.
Like, you look at the fact that Louis DeJoy was put in charge of the post office, and his job has been basically to create confusion and to try and affect the mail-in ballot, which we know just bugs the living shit out of 45, because he knows that is the key to his destruction. But you know what? Enough of this. Yesterday, you were kind enough to take me on a tour of your art studio, and what I'd like people to know is that this man has only been an artist for like 2 years, a little over 2 years, but yet still he is an award-winning artist. He has been considered a master painter, even by some master painters. So what got you into artwork? And I've been trying to encourage you to sell some of your canvases personally because I want one. And number two, I think people would just be blessed. So if you would be so kind as to talk about your inspiration through art and to let people know where they can get in touch with you and send you a message, because from my book, from where I stand, I got nothing but respect and love for you, brother.
Uh, um, I, I would not go as far as that with the art part.
I,
Uh, um,
I did.
uh, yeah. Um, I have been painting since November of 2018, and the reason I started painting was I got injured. And I was out of work for a month and a half. Altercation with a fight, and I wasn't injured, but my prosthetic leg got broken. And I was waiting on a part. It was stupid. Um, it wasn't an official injury. So Harrisburg, which is where our main thing is for our department, was like, so we don't need to send a nurse to your house or anything. I was like, no, it's a broken leg, but it's not a real broken leg. It's just a broken part. And she goes, well, we've never had to deal with something like this. What do we do? And I was like, I don't know. I just have to wait on the part. And right now it's on back order and I just have to wait for it. And she's like, okay. So in the meantime, I'm just sitting around at home getting bored. And my wife says, what do you want to do? Do you want to go do something? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, well, let's go, I don't know, find something to do. So I'm looking through the internet, and about a block away, there's this place called Art and Vino. So I thought, well, my wife likes wine and I don't mind. Like, let's go try and paint something. So literally it's like a paint by numbers thing almost, you know, you get this little canvas and you get to bring wine and you hang out with your spouse and some other people. And I sat there and painted, and they teach you by number basically. And the lady said to me, she said, you kind of have a little bit of a talent. Have you ever painted before? And I was like, no, I used to draw. And she's like, you might want to pick it up. So we went again. About a couple of days later, we went again to a different instructor. Remember, her name was Chris, real nice lady. And I painted again. And I see the lady that was at the first class, and they're talking again, and they come over and they're going, yeah, you need to really start thinking about painting as maybe a hobby. And you know, now this got into my head. So I thought, oh, okay. So I bought a couple paints and I bought some more canvases, and then I started painting on my own. And you know, and I bought more sessions at the Art and Vino, and I kept wanting to learn, and I got more interested in it, and they kept inspiring me, and it was helping with my PTSD, and it was really something that I felt was occupying my time. Instead of thinking about other things, I was thinking about what I was going to paint next. I was thinking about creating things. I was thinking about just painting. I wasn't thinking about things that I was trying not to think about, and that was the good thing. So I realized that it helped so much more by painting, and that's what got me into it. So
very cool.
I was painting every day.
We're up against the bump here, but tell people where they can find you, would you please, Steve?
I really don't know. I have a YouTube channel. It's Going Gonzo Keto Diet. That was one place. I have an Instagram page. It's I don't know, Going Gonzo PTSD Painter something. You'll find it. I don't really advertise myself like that. My Facebook is Steve Vinny Gonzo. So I don't really, this is like
It's a new venture for you, my brother.
it's a new venture. Like I don't really paint to sell. I just paint to ease my mind. I paint because I like it, and I just paint because eventually I want
It
I
brings
want
joy.
to be remembered. I want to be remembered for something,
Well,
and
I'm going to tell you right straight up right now, I will always have your six, and I will always remember you because you spoke out at a time when it hasn't been very fashionable. So from the bottom of my heart, Steve, I want to thank you for your time this morning. Say hello to your bride. And folks, if you get a chance, drop in and see Steve Vinny Gonzo on Facebook. If you're blessed, he'll show you some of his paintings. My name is Ronn Easton. This is Tell It Like It Is with Andy Tappan and my guest, Steve Vinny Gonzo. Peace.